100% sure you'll. All right, Jerry, thank you so much. I've hit record. Again, Frankfurt Aussie with Sunday Hill Partners. And looking forward to you introducing yourself to these clients and working together. If you'll
Sure.
just share a little bit about your career, your path, and the markets that you are leading, please take it away.
Sure. Well, thanks, Frank, for the intro. My name is Jerry Mooty. That's Mooty. Some people spell it DY, but I'm a TY. I'm the CEO and principal of At Properties LoneStar Christie's International Real Estate. And basically what that is we're an affiliate Christie's franchise here in Texas. So I own the territories of DFW, so that's Dallas, Fort Worth, and about a 250-mile radius around that, which includes North Texas. And then I also own Central Texas, which is Austin, Hill Country, bleeding into San Antonio market. So launched this about 3 years ago. We're about 250 agents throughout those different offices. Obviously, with the Christie's brand, we focus a lot on the higher end residential market, but we also have divisions in land and ranch, sports and entertainment, development services division, which I'll talk about in detail, each one of those a little later. And then we've just recently launched a global relocation division. And all those are tied directly to our affiliates here in DFW and Austin.
I love that. Thank you, Jerry. And it's wonderful that you have such a broad coverage. I think just one stop connecting all those markets is fantastic. And then you certainly have a large team with good capacity. Talk to me a little bit more. So, your path coming into and then building this franchise with Christie's. What was your path? As I understand, you were in the law at some point.
That's correct. So I'm what they call a recovering attorney. Uh, I'm still licensed. I've been licensed since 1996. I started working for a big law firm, about 400 agents or 400 attorneys, and just didn't love being a lawyer, but I loved the business side. So I left there when I was 28 years old, started my own law firm here in Dallas with two other guys, and then I grew that law firm to about 60 lawyers in 4 cities. So we had offices in Austin for about 10 years, and then that partner went in-house with the home building company. So we shut that office down, and then we have offices in Houston and Beverly Hills.
Nice.
So really, fun time period for my professional career. I was the managing partner for about 17 years. And then in 2012, I sold my ownership interest back to the firm, to those partners. And then I went on to do more entrepreneurial type stuff.
Very
Uh,
nice.
so after the law, I keep my law license current. So I'm still active licensed attorney. So I use that occasionally in my business endeavors. But I got into tech a little bit right out of when I sold the law firm. I started a credit card processing company, which was, on the verge of the fintech kind of boom in 2011, 2012. We merged that with a technology company and rebranded Blue Star Sports. So we were backed financially by the Jones family that owned the Dallas Cowboys, Bain Capital, Providence Equity, GenStar Partners, some pretty big money. And so we acquired about 24 companies in about 2.5 years. And then we ended up selling that group of companies in 2018. I went from that position as the chief business and legal officer to the same title with a Silicon Valley tech company called Tree 3. It was in the middle of a big money raise, and I was deferring comp, and things weren't looking like they were going to pan out. So that led me back to real estate. And when I say back to real estate, there was a period of time, about 6 years, when I ran the law firm, that I started a real estate development company. So I had a home building division, a commercial division, a raw land development division. And that was from about 2005 until the economy kind of took a turn in 2010 and 11. So anyway, then fast forward about 10 more years to 2020, I got my real estate license to join a brokerage here in Dallas as the managing partner. Then COVID hit, and that didn't work out. So I go into COVID waiting to take my real estate license. shortly thereafter, get that taken care of, and then hung my license here in Dallas at an independent brokerage as I looked for something to own. I was very heavy into or very knowledgeable after COVID because I acted like I was going to join every brokerage in Dallas. And so I knew what technology they had, I knew what fees they offered, what splits, what support. So I knew pretty much everything that was in every brokerage. And I knew there was something out there that was a lot more, offered a lot more from a technology perspective, but also from an efficiency standpoint. And then that led me to have properties out of Chicago. So I convinced the co-founders, Mike Golden and Thad Wong, to sell me the North Texas territory, which that occurred. I launched in 2021. And then shortly thereafter, they came out and announced they bought the Christie's Affiliate Network from the Christie's Auction House. So my corporate franchisor is now the owner of the Christie's Affiliate Network. So same leadership, same marketing team, same everything, same technology. And so that's when we start carrying the Christie's brand, which has been a huge benefit for us.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you. And, of course, the brand stands for excellence in everything that they do. And I'm very glad that they've connected with such a consummate professional like yourself, who has had this fantastic career across law and real estate. So I think it's a beautiful thing. And I feel very fortunate that I've been able to connect with you as the right sort of local partner to help clients. And we're just getting started here. You'll see, I'm really glad that you have experience with startups and technology and you have that orientation because some of that will come down in the pipeline will be oriented towards that. And at the end of the day, this is all in the service of the clients, right? To make
Right.
their life experience, sort of help them save time, and give them excellent service, right? Differentiated experience than what they may get at firms that have been around for a long time, but just haven't kept up with the times or are not forward thinking. I think we're also at the dawn of a new age with the AI world. The AI revolution really just started in 2021 with ChatGPT's original launch. So we really are at the early stages of this, and all of this precipitating throughout the industry, and then things that have happened. You're an attorney, so things that have happened in the world of NAR, all of that sort of intersecting and coming together is going to create a new world ahead. And forward-thinking folks will create better experiences for clients, and that's where I feel like feel very fortunate to have connected with you. Um,
Absolutely.
so talk to me a little bit more. You're in Dallas. We were just talking before we started the recording. You're in Highland Park, where the HQs are for yourself. So talk to me a little bit about the Dallas market, what that's like. Where are sort of traditionally folks that have preferred to affluent clients certainly have preferred to own properties, and maybe talk a little bit about, land and ranch division, et cetera, too.
Sure, sure. So we like to say here in Texas we're blessed because we have so many people moving here over the last 4 or 5 years, especially when COVID hit. People were looking for a place to go where they had more land. So a lot of the coasts were moving here, California and New York. And then, one thing about Texas is it's very spread out. A lot of people don't realize that how much raw land there is to develop. But we right now have more new construction than any place in the country. Although I read an article just this week that we are about 300,000 homes behind on supporting the growth, and that's just here in Dallas. So it's really a fortunate situation knowing that the interest rates have gone up for the last couple of years, although we see those coming down here in the next couple of weeks, if not sooner. And so really, when you look at what Texas has to offer with no income tax, we're really a haven. There's a lot of companies moving here, not only in Dallas, Fort Worth, but also Austin, San Antonio, Houston. So we're really, really fortunate in the real estate world. So, as it relates to Dallas in particular, Highland Park, where our headquarters is in the real center of downtown Dallas. I mean, I'm looking out my window, I can see the downtown skyline. So we're within about a 2-mile view of downtown, and it's just north of the big buildings. but it's considered the most prominent neighborhood in the whole state of Texas, the number one school district. And so it's actually called the city of Highland Park, because they have their own police and fire and courthouse and everything. So it's a very safe community. But what comes with that is it's the highest priced real estate in Dallas.
Mhm.
So you're looking at things, upwards of $2,000 a square foot on the high end, but you almost can't get into anything anymore in Highland Park under $1,000 a foot.
Hmm. Very nice. And then so beyond Highland Park, what are some of the other pockets? And DFD is a large spread out area, so DFW. So if you'll talk to me a little bit more about, Highland Park is a really highlighted area. What are other parts within the sort of call it nearby Center City and then beyond as well? That might be
Sure.
interesting, even if it's like larger acreage. We're talking about 50 plus acres. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so if you look at Highland Park as kind of the center, I think the values are high because of the school district and the support of its own city of fire and police. But just around all the edges of Highland Park, you will
Mm,
have also prominent neighborhoods like Preston Hollow, Lakewood, Greenway Parks. So those are all kind of the infill around Highland Park, and so it's pretty spread out. And that way you're getting usually a little bit more land, a little bit more square footage for a little bit of discount off Highland Park. Most of those families send their kids to private schools that aren't, that don't go to Highland Park because they're outside that school district. But as you kind of expand outwards from core Dallas, the way Dallas has grown for the last 50 years, if you look at downtown and you just go directly north, we've almost grown all the way to the Oklahoma border.
wow.
So a lot of people have heard of towns like Plano, McKinney, Allen, and then most recently Frisco, Texas is
Mm,
probably the fastest growing community, in the Metroplex. And that's even bled further north into Prosper and now Salina. So you have all these different levels of community, different home prices, different size lots as you move further north, which a lot of people have migrated north from downtown Dallas because they can get the same house for a couple million, but their house in Frisco or Prosper might be on 2, 3, 4, 5 acres. So as you get further away from the core areas of Dallas, then you're obviously getting more land with your purchase. And then we've all heard of, Dallas is really referred to as DFW, Dallas Fort Worth.
yeah.
They're about 45 miles apart from center to downtown. But over the last 50, 60 years, they've grown together. So you literally drive from Dallas to Fort Worth. You don't ever see, farms or anything. It is all developed completely in between. And
Mm,
so Fort Worth is really, it's a totally different culture because you have the stockyards, you have more of this Western feel. They actually run the bulls down the center of downtown every day at 4 o'clock. And then, you got patios and stuff with people having margaritas. But you'll see a lot more land over there and more ranchettes and kind of a
mm.
different culture than you will here in Dallas.
Thank you. I really appreciate that explanation, right? And this is one of the things that we're certainly hope to lean to you and the team to share ground level knowledge and how things are evolving in different markets. You touched on interest rates. We're certainly at the high point, but then the cycle is already headed to the downside. And as things go further down, the demand will increase and would certainly love your team's expertise on that. And hopefully at a future point, maybe you could connect me to the land and ranch team, and maybe we could have them to talk about what they're seeing in their specialty as well. So that's really great. You touched on how Fort Worth is a little different, but it's all sort of grown together. It reminds me of how Atlanta has been growing, right? Atlanta Metro, they talk about how they're trying to give that downtown experience, but in different pockets so that people don't have to drive too far to experience that. So I love that Dallas Fort Worth is looking holistically at that in that area. And I think both of these are examples that other parts of the country could definitely take. Talk to me a little bit more, maybe a little bit more about what the culture, lifestyle, food, entertainment is like. Touched a little bit about how Fort Worth is a little bit more Western feel, but in general, could you speak a little bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. So, a lot of people refer to Dallas as the LA of the South. I think when people, probably more my age, I'm 54, but there was a TV show a long time ago that had J.R. Ewing in it, cowboy hat wearing. A lot of people from outside of Texas and even internationally think of Texas or Dallas as this real Western town. But actually, Dallas in and of itself, and you mentioned you mentioned Atlanta. There's a lot of similarities between Atlanta and Dallas for people who
Mhm.
go back and forth for work or live in both cities. But food is one of our specialties. Obviously, you have a food that's we refer to as Tex-Mex, so it's kind of Mexican food, but it's got its own Texas flair to it. I think we have more steakhouses in Dallas, Fort Worth than any city in the country. They're about on every corner, but we're talking high level steakhouses, Perry's, Albernays, Capital Grill. The top ones from around the country and around the world. But we've also started really getting some of the best food in general. We have great
Mhm.
sushi restaurants. We have great, Asian fusion. Just about any kind of food that you want and that you're used to wherever you're coming from or whatever culture you're part of. We have that here. There's not a whole lot of difference, I would say, between the food in Dallas versus Fort Worth because the restaurants are very similar, but just a really wide range of kind of culture. We have different pockets, that people drive to specifically for certain kinds of cuisine. So it's really kind of grown into a New York or a Manhattan, if you will, when it comes to food.
Very nice. I love that. I love the reference to, the LA of the South as well. But I mean, again, Texas has always been Texas. And I love that, Dallas is doing its own thing and making its own mark as a global city. And what about music? What about art? Clearly, I love that you have that wonderful piece of art right behind you. It speaks a lot about, I would say, the city, just the experience. Talk to me a little bit more about what that's like, if you would.
So Dallas, the art and entertainment areas are phenomenal. We have an entire entertainment district downtown with the opera and with all the buildings that you would expect in a metro city like this for your operas, for your Broadway shows, for any kind of high end type entertainment. But also we're probably, I would say, top 10 cities in live music venues. A lot of country music is around. We have venues like the Rustic, which holds 500 to 1,000 people, and people go there on a regular basis. But then you grow into these other venues that hold 1,500 to 2,500. One thing that's happened here that probably has happened in other areas is old movie theaters, that are 50, 60 years old have been turned into some of the best music venues here in Dallas, like Granada and the Kessler. So anyway, me personally, my son's a lead singer in a band. He just graduated from University of Texas, called Mango Coast. So I was his manager when he was in high school. He's got a Spotify account. So I'm trying to, I probably see live music at least once a week.
Oh, we've got to give him a shout out. What's the name of the band? What's his name?
So the name of the band is Mango Coast,
Okay.
from Austin. They were on the front page of the Austin Statesman last year as the most popular band at University of Texas last fall or last spring. And his name is Val, Val Mooty, Val
Oh,
Mooty.
very nice. Oh, we look forward to fantastic things from Val. And thank you for sharing, right? Like that's really, I think clients do care about good culture, good lifestyle. We have global clients who are looking at Texas. So someone who's coming from Japan or the Far East, they would be interested in learning about that. Um, and the other thing that I sort of really appreciate is that Texas keeps its flair. It sounds like Dallas is keeping its flair. I do want to ask you, and maybe not, I don't know. Is there line dancing in Dallas?
There is line dancing, so
Ah,
you would find that more at your country bars and venues. But yeah, there is line dancing. There's a bar called Country 2000 that it probably holds 2,000 people, and it's huge, and people go there, and it is a fun time all the time.
I love it. Yeah, that's the thing. As I had shared with you briefly, the clients are looking to add to their portfolios, not necessarily flipping. But there's certainly an interest to do green builds, which we can transition into talking a little bit about custom home building. But the importance of just experiencing the local culture and imbibing in it. If the family comes around from different parts of the world, different parts of the country, and get together at the homestead in Dallas or whether it's Austin to experience that fully. So talk to me a little bit, if you would, um, you know, about the home building, the custom home building, because that's one of the things that I will certainly lean to you and the team for is recommendations for reliable builders. So lots of people say they're great builders and they'll throw up images on the website and so on. But we are talking about great folks that you could recommend. You've been doing this for a long time. So I'm sure you've seen all kinds. And we have clients who are looking at working with architects that are maybe not Texas based, maybe they're in other parts of the United States or even other parts of the country, but need a local builder to execute on the vision. And the inclination may be towards green building, not completely initially, but certainly growing towards that. So could you speak to a little bit about what may be possible working with y'all in terms of recommendations for builders?
Yeah, sure. So, in our industry, on the residential side in particular, we have relationships with, probably 50 to 100 builders already.
Hmm.
What it really boils down to is location, um, which kind of, if you go back to the Highland Park comment, there's probably 15 builders that we would recommend in the Highland Park area because they're familiar with the soil, they're familiar with the codes, the building codes for that area. And so as and the price point always is one of those factors. So if you're at the really high end level, high end home level, then you would want one of the better builders for that area. And as you move out in Dallas, I think because we're so spread out, there's just we know one or two of the best builders in each community,
Hmm.
and some of them are really pushing hard on the green aspects. I've been working with a builder in North Dallas who's building homes via 3D printer. And it's just fascinating. He's just killing it. The homes look great. They've kind of got a modern flair.
Hmm.
Um, and their price points, based on his model is, 600,000 to a million. But that's where he focuses as a builder. But then you got builders who focuses on 1 to 3 million and then 3 to 10 and 10 to 25. So it just really depends on location, what level of build you're looking to do. But we're definitely here with the expertise to help guide that process.
Thank you very much. And that's that we're looking for, Jerry. And I certainly will be reaching out to you for those, maybe in a follow-up email, and maybe not 15, but maybe you could recommend a couple that I could do some additional due diligence on. Um, and really, I mean, at the end of the day, what we want to do is make it as turnkey as possible and save time. And that's the most valuable resource. So maybe we could provide some of the inventory of the different price points to the clients, like, hey, these are turnkey, open the door and available to you to furnish or whatever. And then here are the opportunities where you can do a totally custom green build on 25 acres or whatever it may be, up towards North Texas, right?
Yeah.
Um, okay, so I think we've covered pretty much all of it. If we could just touch on private aircraft, and then I think we could stop recording for Dallas. So could you talk a little bit more about private aircraft access in the DFW area?
Yeah, so probably the most prominent airport in all of Texas is called Love Field, right here in the edge of Highland Park. So as I'm sitting here right now, I'm watching private airplanes land about a mile or two away from me. So It's really every aspect of private, aircraft is involved. You've got your fractional ownership, you got the companies that offer up, buying a certain number of hours, all the way up to, high, G5 sales going on all the time.
Very nice. And is that the sort of primary thing? If we're going up towards Fort Worth or even north, are there different airfields and air parks, etc., for that access?
Yeah, so there's as you go up north, there's Addison Airport, which is all private. There's no commercial. Love Field that I referenced before, it also has commercial aircraft coming in and out. But then outside of Love Field and then DFW Airport, which is the top 5 airport in the world,
Mhm.
there's multiple airfields throughout the Metroplex that service the private sector.
Wonderful. And I can certainly do a little bit of that on my own. But if you have some follow up in an email, we could do that too. All right. I
Yeah,
think that covers all of Dallas. I'm going to stop recording here. Thank you so much, Jerry.
awesome. Thank you.